So President Trump has now repeatedly made this mind-numbingly stupid claim. I don't usually cover stories like this, but I feel like I have to. This is like the gaffe stuff that everybody loves to fall all over themselves to talk about. I usually avoid this to stick to policy, but now he said this multiple times, so I cannot ignore it. The Hill says, Trump makes false claim about voter ID. Quote, if you buy a box of cereal, you have a voter ID. Even looking past the fact that he said voter ID, like I think he meant to say, if you buy a box of cereal, you have to show an ID, but you don't. Like, what the fuck? Now, again, I said he's mentioned this or something similar to it repeatedly. This is just from a few months ago. Look.
We believe that only American citizens should vote in American elections. Which is why the time has come for voter ID, like everything else. Voter ID. You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture.
Donald Trump may have never, ever, ever bought groceries in his life. How else do you explain that? How else do you explain it? He said it repeatedly. When you buy groceries, you need ID. When you buy anything, you need ID. That's what he said. And this time he was even more specific. He said cereal. I love how I tweeted about this yesterday, and some insane partisan hacks were like, oh yeah, well here's a list of stuff you do need ID for. And it was like Sudafed and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, he didn't mention any of those things. He said groceries, and he said when you buy anything, and now he said fucking cereal. He may have never bought groceries in his entire life. That is stunning. That's absolutely stunning. Wow, man. Holy shit. Now, okay, putting aside the fact that he's an ignorant buffoon, clown, idiot, totally disconnected from regular people, and he doesn't know anything. Putting that aside, his like fears about, or I don't even think he's actually scared of it. He just uses it for political reasons. But the constant talk about voter fraud. It's all bullshit, man. There's been studies on this, and we've spoken about them on this show. You're more likely to get struck by lightning than there is to be voter fraud. It's something like 0.000000001% or something like that. Like, it virtually never happens. It doesn't happen. In fact, the real problem is election fraud, not voter fraud, election fraud. What's election fraud? Well, like what happened in Georgia with Brian Kemp, who's the Secretary of State, and so he oversees the elections, but he was also running for governor, so he oversaw his own fucking election, and he purged the voter rolls of people who were signed up to vote by his opponent when she started the new Georgia project, Stacey Abrams. So that's the real problem, but he totally ignores the real problem. The fucking problem is all these illegals coming to vote. By the way, remember when he set up that commission? Chris Kobach, the guy who just lost his governorship, he didn't lose his governorship. He was running for governor in Kansas. I got him and Sam Brown back confused recently because they look alike. But so Chris Kobach was going to become the governor. He got defeated in Kansas. He's a Republican running in Kansas, and he lost. That's insane. But he was supposed to be the head of Trump's voter fraud commission to see how many illegals voted in 2016. They quietly got rid of that thing because the conclusion was going to make Trump look like a beyond a fucking moron, because they're going to go, oh, you just totally made it up. Trump was saying all these insane things. Oh, these illegals were voting. The Democrats were bussing them in. None of that was true. None of it. So they spoke, the voter fraud commission. And then they were like, is anybody still looking? Disband it because it obviously is not going to have the results that he wants. So political hack. That's what he is. And I'm serious when I say it really looks like he may have never bought groceries in his life. Because how else would you say something like this and say it repeatedly? And how is it also the case nobody around him was like, hey, bro, X-nay on the fucking cereal skay. Like, don't ever say that again. you need ID to buy fucking groceries? You really said that and you said it multiple times? The fuck is wrong with you?